All right, I'm David Palmer, and I'm here with budding data analyst Logan Cowley.
Hello, I'm Logan.
He's here to talk to us about his project where he's wrangled some data and made some cool visualizations. So, Logan, maybe just start off by telling us what's your overarching research question and why did you choose to look at that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So my overarching research question was who was the fastest F1 driver in 2024, or the 2024 season? The reason I chose that is just because I joined this formula racing team, or not this, I forget what it's called, but it's like this school project where we work on a car, try to like build a car for racing other cars in other schools. I did that last semester, so that kind of piqued my interest about more about Formula One, kind of like what they do, because there's a lot of data that goes into Formula One, and
Yeah.
about like, and just to get like just the slightest edge over the competition. So if you're able to get like you just 1 second off per lap, then you're able to win the whole race.
Okay.
And so I just that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, where did you where'd your data come from?
Yeah. So there's this Kaggle data set that has all the Formula One um, seasons from like 1950 all the way to 2024,
Okay.
which was the most recent one. And so I decided to focus on the most recent 2024.
Okay. And oftentimes, and this is a part where you might want to show us your code, but oftentimes the data doesn't come in the format that you need. You got to do some wrangling or some prep work on it.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit, maybe walk me through some of your code. What did you need to do to prepare the data for?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing I needed to do was download the data set. And the way I found out how to do this was you could just use Python. There's a Python package called Kaggle that makes it pretty easy to download just the file URL. And then with that, I get the direct or start off, I make some temporary directories, temporary files. I download the zip file to here, then I unzip it, and then it creates a directory full of just F1 CSVs. And this is where I get all the CSVs. So the way the data is split up, it's split up into like a bunch of different sections. Like you have pit stops, you have drivers, races, and then those are all connected by keys, which you have to join the data together to get the data that you want. So it was actually not too complicated to get, but it was fairly useful. I just need to do a lot of joining together just to make sure I have the right data for the graphs.
Okay, awesome. And then, so from there, where did you head? So maybe you can talk us through, give us a maybe 2 minute overview, 1 minute overview of the visualizations you created and what question you're answering with each visualization.
Yeah, absolutely. So in this data wrangling part, I had a lot more data in here than I actually used in my graphs because I was just trying to figure out different types of questions I want to answer. You can see here who's the fastest overall in 2024 by using the lapse times. This one was the same question, but I used the results of the total time of the race divided by the amount of laps they ran the race, which is actually better, which I thought, for the visualization, which we'll go down to here later. Then we had quickest pit stops. I didn't actually end up using this one, but I chose to do that to see like if they had a slower pit stop time to see if they had a quicker lap time. That was cool. We got who got top three the most. So which drivers were in the top three? That would be this graph right here. So this graph, the way it's set up, you have the position they got, and you have first position, second position, third position, and how many times they got that position over the entire season.
First position is best, right?
Yes, exactly. You get the most points in the first position. So we can see here, Verstappen had the most with 9 total first places. Then we had some other people here like Leclerc, Norris. They're getting top three a lot of times. Yeah, Piastri getting to top three as well. But these show all the top 3 drivers through the entire season here. And so I was just looking at this one first to see, okay, who was getting first place, second place, third place. And because I assumed they'd probably be the quickest.
Yeah.
And so that leads to our next graph of points scored. So the way points are scored is by the position you get at the end of the track. And so first place, I believe, gets 25, second place gets 18, and then just kind of goes down from there.
Okay.
And so if you want to score first place the most, so as you go throughout the season, you get the most points. You can see here, Verstappen got the most points overall this season. And then you can see it kind of tapers down with drivers here and there. And then the next thing I wanted to look at was races finished by drivers. This is an interesting graph. Basically, because when you're doing an F1 race, sometimes you get lapped by a car, sometimes you have an engine failure, sometimes you have problems. you're not able to finish the race, or you're not able to complete all of the laps required for the pre or for the race
Hmm.
to actually be considered a finish.
Okay.
And so what this graph shows is like who's finishing and how many races has each driver finished. You can see here Verstappen, he's pretty good at finishing. He finishes about 23. There's 24 total races in the whole pre.
Okay.
And so Piastri is pretty consistent. You can see up here though that Piastri does pretty good, but he isn't the quickest, but he is very consistent as a driver. So he's able to finish every race. Norris, Verstappen, Leclerc, they're all pretty quick drivers and they're finishing their races.
And I'm not familiar with F1 racing, but is to win the season or to be the champion,
Mhm.
is it based on the points alone, or is there like a race at the end that's more important that crowns you the champion?
I believe it's points alone because throughout the entire season, I actually have to look into that, but I'm pretty sure it's just by points of who wins because over the season they see who's winning the most races,
Mhm.
who's getting the most points.
Okay.
At the end of the season, they'll say Verstappen was the winner. And then the last graph I made, this was comparing the top three here, Verstappen, Norris, and Leclerc, because they were getting the most points. They were getting top three the most. So I want to know which races were they doing the best in.
Okay.
And so what this graph shows, we have all the different races right here. And then in these races, we have their average lap time. So I took the total race time divided by the amount of laps, and that got us the average lap time per race. And these dots above here show who got the quickest time. So you can see Verstappen for these two, and then was Leclerc for this one.
Uh,
And so it's pretty cool. It shows out of these top three that Verstappen got 11 times. I beat these other two. Leclerc, I believe, got 6, and then Norris got 6 as well. There was an issue with one of the races, though. It showed like their average lap time was like 0 seconds. And I was looking into the data, and in fact showed that the milliseconds for that specific race was way lower than it should have been because their like best lap time on that race was like 1 minute 30 seconds. But by calculating the way I was doing, it showed that their average time was like 0 seconds. So I excluded that one specifically. So that's why there's 23 races here.
okay.
But it shows a pretty consistent pattern that Verstappen is just outdoing these other two drivers.
Yeah. All right. And what would you do next? I guess you've gotten to the point that you've identified that Verstappen is better, and what would be the next thing that you'd like to analyze if you could
Yeah.
continue to spend another few hours on this?
Yeah, I think if I had to spend a few other hours, I would probably look at either the weather conditions on the track to see like how that affects races and who does better under certain weather conditions. I feel like I would look more into that to see if a driver's better in the rain or like conditions.
Uh-huh. All right. Well, thank you, Logan.
Yeah.
Gonna